Welcome back to Words with Walner. We're on episode 10. We're here with Jon Walner, the premier personal injury lawyer here in Chicago. And today we're going to talk about current legal events that are happening in Illinois. But to kind of start that topic out, I really want to talk to Jon about the type of cases that he is starting to see come in to the law firm. I mean, what type of cases are you seeing these days?
Well, because it's winter, you're seeing a lot of cars slipping and sliding on snow and ice, not taking the proper precaution to keep distance from the other cars. Drivers are their equipment, maybe the tires aren't prepared for the snow and the ice, so they're losing traction, or drivers are not used to driving in snow and ice. Of course, you have the slip and falls, landlords not taking care of their properties, not taking care of the dripping of drain pipes that go into public ways that cause a hazard for their tenants or people coming to visit the tenants, so slip and falls, fractured hips. And then you have like the pothole deviations in the properties that were never filled in, so now they're filling in with water that's frozen over. And then, of course, you're seeing when people go into a Target, a Walmart, the corporations not being able to keep up with the wet and the ice and the snow, and it's getting tracked in, and you're seeing a lot of slip and falls. That's what happens in the winter. Also, there's a lot of claims for pipes bursting and landlords' negligence and not keeping their maybe water dripping for apartment buildings. So you're seeing a lot of water damage and ceilings clapping and crushing the residents for pipes bursting. So that's the kind of stuff we're seeing right now in Chicago, all weather related, beyond our usual maybe medical malfeasance where doctors aren't paying attention and committing malpractice or malfeasance where our clients are deeply suffering from their negligence in their medical work care in custody of our clients.
So when you get a phone call, is it and it's somebody that had a slip and fall, is it easier to go after a case that is somebody that wants to file against a landlord or a personal owner of a property versus like a corporation like a Walmart or a Target or something like that?
Slip and falls are the hardest cases to win. Number one, because they're unwitnessed. Mostly they're unwitnessed. And the only saving grace you have on a slip and fall is if a camera saw it in Home Depot, Target, or Jewel to confirm it. Of course, you have a 90% chance or better of winning if an ambulance actually came to the scene, saw you on the ground, and picked you up. Or if you get these Ring doorbells, slip and falls, the biggest problem is you need a witness, and an impartial witness, not a friend or relative. And then you have to, because the call may not come to us immediately, you've got to go and find this defect and make evidence out of it. Like if they come to us 6 months later, if they're falling and slipping on ice and snow, it's almost impossible to win that case. Or if a plow truck plowed the Walmart parking lot, but they did so in a negligent manner, they put like moguls in the parking lot, and then the sun, and then it dripped, and then it froze over. It's hard to win these cases unless you have actual video or photographic proof. So they're hard, but if you have a serious injury, we'll do our best to win this case for you, because when you fall and break your hip, especially an older person, your life is seriously over. In terms of mobility, depression, anxiety, that you can't do the things you were when you were independent. So sometimes slip and falls can be very devastating on an older person.
Okay. So I know in the past we've talked about gaining access to the video. Now, when you're working with third party and gaining access, it seems to be maybe an easier thing, but can you legally get video? Let's just say if it happened at a Walmart, are they legally obligated to give you that video if you have a client that is injured in the parking lot?
You have to file a lawsuit for that, and then it's up to and then you ask for all the evidence that is in their possession. If they fail to turn it over, the judge has to intervene. But if there's a court order, you request it, and there's a court order, then they have to turn it over. And if they refuse to turn it over and they had it, it goes against them. in a jury trial. But as you're talking, I just want to tell you some new cases that Walner Law had since our last podcast.
Let's hear about them.
I was just at a funeral on Friday.
Oh,
I had a client. There was a disabled car on the road, and my client, 4 people in the car, was driving on the road, and we slowed down due to a disabled car, and this drunk driver hit us and killed 2 of my clients in the car. And just the sad part, Friday, I was at the funeral of Miss Monroe, who left 2 minor children and 1 adult children. And just, once again, we've talked about this before, it's just devastating to feel it and shake the hands of all the relatives and to hug them and be with them. Drunk driving is still a blight on this in Chicagoland area. We had 5 citizens around the corner of Wabash and Ontario in the city of Chicago, and a bunch of young kids sitting on top of the car, driving wildly, went through a red light. An Uber came through the intersection and hit the car that was going through the red light. The cars went in and injured all 5 people, of which we have some of the clients who were severely injured with fractures and devastating injuries. So be careful in crowded intersections, Chicago. I don't care if you have the light or not. Everyone has to be careful in a high pedestrian area, like in this huge intersection, Chicago, of Ontario and Wabash. Ontario, one of the busiest streets in all of Chicago. So that was sad. These are 2 cases we have taken on in the last 3 weeks.
Tell me a little bit about holding insurance companies more responsible. Are you guys doing anything differently in 2023 in regards to making sure that the big insurance companies are kept accountable?
Well, it's all insurance companies. Some behave better than others. Some may have coming down from their board of directors or their shareholders asking for no claims to be paid. Other times they are paying claims to get the claims off their books so they can write new insurance. But all insurance companies are not alike. Sometimes they behave what you would think are not in the best interests of their insureds, to be honest with you. And sometimes they're right in denying claims, obviously. But you know what the trend is right now? You have to file suit now. We have to file suit now in almost a majority of our cases because insurance companies are refusing to settle. I believe some are in bad faith. We are writing bad faith letters. We are threatening them if they do not settle within a reasonable period of time, when they know there is a number that would be reasonable for both parties to make the case go away. So that's the only thing we're trying to do to put their feet to the fire, giving them a bad faith letter, which you are allowed huge money damages and attorney's fees if they fail to act responsibly as a corporate citizen, and just out of sheer greed for not paying claims.
So this is really extending the process so much more, right? I mean, so if someone has an expectation that that you're going to go and get something settled with the insurance company, and it might be 6 months, this could be much longer than that, right? I mean, we're looking at a year.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. And what I'm seeing that I've never seen before is companies refusing to pay for property damage. I don't know why. Straight out rear-ended, this refusing, and I want to tell the public this is true. We're in February of 2023. There are still hardly spare parts. There is a gigantic backup of every body shop to fix cars. And one of the reasons that we're seeing such a backlog is there's not the parts, original equipment parts, to replace on our clients' vehicles. It is sad. And then there's a lot of contracts where insurance companies won't give you a rental car for more than 30 days, and you have to fight to get more days. But contractually, your hands are tied. So I don't know if we've discussed this before. Yeah. A drunk driver, out of control, hits my son's car in front of our house. My son was in it. It was parked. It was midnight. His car was in the shop for 5 months. This is recently.
Wow.
Waiting for it to be repaired. And thank God we have money, but we had to rent a car for 5 months, and it was a fight with the insurance company to keep covering them. So, God, if I wasn't a lawyer, can you imagine how hard it is for a child? I mean, he's over driving age, but to fight an insurance, I mean, just to give you a rental car because you're insured a drunk driver smashing into his car. I'm telling you what, I think it'll be cleared up. And we're seeing a lack employees. They don't have enough employees to fix these cars, but it's in every business.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Every business, restaurants, stores. The customer service has been hurting us from COVID. And then the people that are being hired are not the employees that they would have hired prior. I don't know why that's true. But in the same thing with law, you don't see the cases being worked as fast because there's no employees at these insurance companies.
So in that, I also want to know about in the court. Are we, there for a time period there during COVID, all the courts were closed except for, doing more of a video than in person. But has that changed, and are the courts really backed up like I heard they are?
No, that's true. The courts are backed up. In workers' comp, they didn't even have any commissioners for like 2 years. And there weren't any jury trials being performed in the courthouses. I cannot speak for criminal cases, but civilly, there were not juries for over a year. But the one benefit, I have to say, from COVID is that now they have Zoom court hearings and Zoom motions. What a benefit to everybody. If you're an attorney that's more than 25 miles away from Chicago, you would have come downtown, paid $25 to park, fight traffic to go to court for 15 minutes. What a waste. Like in the state of Washington, it's always been by video conference. This is a boon. Like we're in the city of Chicago, Cook County, but if you have to go to Kane County or to Joliet or far in Lake County, to be able to have a video conference with the judge, with opposing counsel, this should have been done years ago. I'm talking 10 years ago. This is horrible what it was in the past. I think there is a great benefit now. What's the difference if you're on Zoom or in court for a motion? And it's the same thing for depositions. It's so much easier now to do depositions by video before you have to fly to LA, be in person with the deponent. Now, through modern technology, we don't have to fly all over. And the clients, here's a client with a fractured hip. He has to come in for his deposition. You have to take some kind of ambulance or big van for them to get into to come down to Chicago. What a pain. And now we're doing depositions in their homes, and the court reporters are doing video deps in an alternative location. So the one good thing out of COVID is it's making more sense. And the clients, the lawyers' time's at better use. Going to court 20 miles away, even if you are in the loop, you got to take the time to walk from 135 LaSalle to 25 West Washington, go up the elevator to the 20th floor, sit around with 100 lawyers, wait for your time, walk back to court. To go to court for 15 minutes sometimes takes 2 hours. So I am so happy the way things are being done now. Maybe people disagree with me, but I think it's fantastic.
Great. That's something in the right direction.
I believe so.
Definitely for Illinois.
I wish it would go for forever like this.
Yeah.
Don't make someone come 50 miles to come to court for 15 minutes.
That's great. Let's talk about distracted drivers. That's a big one these days. And, got my cell phone here, and it used to be people would be talking on a cell phone, right? And people don't do that as much. They're texting, or they're watching videos, or they're on their social media platforms. So I assume that it's gotten worse. And why is that? What do you think we should do? And I'm sure you're seeing more cases come in because of distracted drivers.
Well, what are you going to do? The police used to give a ticket for talking on the phone, while driving, the phone to you, or not using a microphone, or not using the system in your car that's hands-free. So that was one legislative law that they passed to try to enforce, and they did give tickets for it. But sincerely, I am seeing people admit it in the police reports. I was texting. I was doing something. Well, that's gratifying to know, but they shouldn't be doing it. I know a lot of the cellular services allow you to put a message. I am driving. I cannot answer your call. I cannot answer your text. I will do so when I arrive at my destination, which is amazing. And I think all carriers let you put an outgoing message to people that are texting you. It is so dangerous to look down because when you speak hands-free, you don't have your phone in your hand, but people are checking their text messages. It is so dangerous and distracting. But we are seeing modern vehicles now, besides the Tesla, that are able to drive itself. Whether that's going to cause a gazillion
There's some question
accidents.
There's that. Yeah,
Right.
sure.
I'm not, but I'm sure these vehicles are tested. But more and more cars do have safety features. Like you veer out of your lane, there's huge vibrations in the seat or the steering wheel. There's beeps now if you come near a car or deviate from your lane. So modern engineering technology that are being installed in all these cars that are being delivered to consumers are protecting us from our own malfeasance or our own negligence. How are you going to get rid of distracted driving? I don't know, but the manufacturers that are engineering all these safety features in the car are awesome.
All right, let me give you a kind of a real life example, although this hasn't happened to me, but I think it could have. When I've been driving on the interstate, we're in pretty tight traffic, and I could see somebody behind me, and I can see they are distracted. And I can see that they're looking down at their cell phone, right? We've all, I think, have seen this. And let's just say I end up having to put my brakes on, they run into me. Sometimes those type of situations, no one really wants to put anybody at fault. But I'm thinking, no, that's not my fault. I know that they were distracted. How difficult is it to get the data to know whether they were on their phone that you can use legally against somebody in a case like that?
This is all up to the judge. You move for the phone company to produce the records of this phone, or you move for the client to produce his phone to check for his text message or the history of that. There's a lot of privacy concerns that the companies won't deliver, but the best hope is to have the person admit that they were texting, or to maybe turn their phone over. And there's the judges, for the safety, welfare, and well-being it's in the best interest of the injured party to have the defendant turn over their cell phone or their phone records, so we can prove what you said you were seeing the driver distracted, you were seeing him text it, it's your testimony, you're certain of it. So I think you're in a better position to have the judge force the defendant to turn over these records, or the phone carrier to turn over these records, because if you were to kill the passenger in your car and you saw him distracted, and this person cannot get money to provide for their children for the rest of their lives because they were killed, think about the power between a phone company and a human being. So I believe that all judges will take every action or legislation, if you find it to be a problem, to take care of this problem in America. And it's huge in criminal cases. To prove where the alleged criminal was at the time, who were they communicating, their co-conspirators. And we have seen, the phones get locked and the courts ask Apple or to open their iPhone. So you've seen a lot of court cases about this, and the FBI begging Apple to unlock a phone so they could see how the crime was committed, if it was committed in this location, who the co-conspirators were. So I think these problems are being addressed right now in state legislatures and our federal government.
It's time for the last word with Words with Walner.
All right.
Give me your last word on, distracted drivers, the trends in Illinois these days. What kind of accidents people are having these days?
I think that in all cities, and especially Chicago, how about all cities, I'm sure, that have Ubers and Lyft or ride shares, we are seeing so many accidents with Uber and Lyft. Like, I don't know if they vet these drivers, if they've taken any courses, which they haven't.
Yeah.
We are seeing so many accidents with rideshare companies, drivers of Lyft and Uber, and people getting injured by people delivering, for example, for Grubhub or Caviar, any of these services where they deliver food or goods to other people's houses. you are seeing more accidents from them. It is true. There's a lot of kids, not mature, maybe not a great driver, that think, what a great way to make money. Between classes, I'll drive for Grubhub and I'll make some money. Meanwhile, as they're looking for the address, they're driving all over. And think about this. There's so many drivers delivering without even passing them, looking for addresses, being distracted, not being a professional driver, not having the right training, the maturity, the dexterity to be safe to others on the road. So we are seeing an insane amount of rideshare accidents or app-based ride services accidents.
So what's the first thing I do when I get in an accident and I'm injured, right? So, I've got a serious injury. Besides calling an ambulance, what is the thing I want to do if I'm in an Uber and that sort of a thing happens and I'm injured?
First of all, if you're in the Uber and you called for the Uber and the Uber causes the accident you're in, you have the app on your phone. You had to order the car, you see the route, you see the ride wasn't finished. But also, remember I was telling you the case where the Uber hit the car in Ontario and Wabash?
Yeah.
Well, the passengers in the car, they were from Philadelphia. And she so kindly shared her screenshot of where the Uber picked her up and was supposed to deliver her. We got a couple $1 million for an Uber that didn't follow his route because the screen share was by the passenger in the Uber. We were on a motorcycle. The Uber driver thought a better way to go, makes a right-hand turn, doesn't see the motorcycle to his right, and we were able to prove that he was lost or not going in the directions they said by the screen share. First of all, you need a great lawyer because sometimes you have no idea that this was an Uber, right?
Yep.
You got hit. But lawyers can tell by first of all, a lot of Uber or rideshare, they lease their cars from services that lease them the car, and Uber pays, a portion of the lease, and we can tell right away if it's a rideshare service on the police report. And we could tell by, like, you may think, oh, some junk insurance, but we could tell it's a rideshare. We'll see on the police report. We'll talk to the other parties when we have a feeling about it. We'll talk to our clients, and we'll see it's huge insurance. Millions of dollars on these rideshare companies. First of all, they're publicly traded, so who cares what the insurance is? They have billions of dollars to satisfy the damages that their negligent drivers cause.
All right. So if I'm injured, how do I get a hold of Jon Walner?
You can go on the website, walnerlaw.com, call us at 312-8-million, or text us at 312-8-million. And we are available 24 hours a day through our super duper answering service that are trained paralegals after hours. So we look forward to helping you and answering any questions you might have. It doesn't hurt us to answer all the questions you might have. That's what we're trained for. And we enjoy hearing your questions and educating you, the consumer, even if you don't have a case.
Once again, thank you for joining us here at Words with Walner. That's a conclusion to episode 10. And episode 11, we're going to talk about marketing and Walner Law. So we look forward to you joining us then.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Take care.